Okay. Good afternoon, everyone. Thank you very much for joining us today for this SCU update. Good to see quite a few of our friends on the call today. So my name is Adam Roberts. I'm based in the Southern Cross Melbourne campus. We're very lucky today to have some other VIP guests. We have the famous Mr. John Crowder, who's also based in Melbourne, who heads up admissions for SCU Ventures. And we have Tim Rudling from the hotel school, who's currently in Indonesia, but he's kindly joined us today. So we have a couple of updates for you today. The most important ones are updates on the genuine student statement and how to successfully prepare and submit one of those. So your student has a very good chance of passing the genuine student requirement. Before we jump in there, I'll just give you a bit of an overview of what's happening, first of all, in Australia with the caps that are being brought into the international education industry, and also what's changing within Southern Cross University. We do have some changes within Southern Cross that are good news for our recruitment partners out there. So first of all, you might be aware that SCU Ventures was formed at the end of last year. It used to be called Educo Southern Cross University. We used to operate the Sydney, Melbourne and Perth campuses. And as most of you would know, we became part of the university in December last year. So that was called SCU Ventures. Recently, SCU Ventures has also taken over the hotel school. So the hotel school have been delivering Southern Cross degrees across Australia for the past 30 years. And that organisation is now part of SCU Ventures as well. So with SCU Ventures, we operate our own recruitment team. We operate our own admissions team. So a lot of the recruiters out there, some of them are old Educo staff, some of them are old hotel school staff, but they're now supporting recruitment across both the metro campuses, Sydney, Melbourne, Perth, and also the hotel school campuses. Which is a very good opportunity for your agencies when you're recruiting students. Now, just to give everyone a bit of an update on what's happening in Australia with the caps that are coming in for next year, most of you would be aware that the government is introducing a national planning level, which will limit the number of new international students to come into Australia next year. They set that number at 270,000 students, and every institution in Australia has been given a cap. Now, for some institutions, it means that they've stopped recruiting for 2025. For other institutions like Southern Cross, it means that we are out there recruiting harder than ever, because at this stage, we think that it's going to be a real challenge for us to hit our target. So we need to hit 1,300 new students next year, which is actually a really big growth on the number that we've got this year. So Southern Cross has launched a number of initiatives to get more international students for 2025, so we can fill our cap. Now, the first one of those initiatives is called Access 25. And what we've done is we've introduced one single tuition fee for all international students at the university. That's new students and continuing students. Every student across every course, every campus will only pay $25,000 per year. So that is around about a 25% discount on the fees that were published by Southern Cross. And it applies to almost all courses across the campuses. Now, there's a couple of exceptions. There's the Master of Nursing, there's Veterinary Technology, Study Abroad, English, and also the hotel school. But outside of that, all bachelor, all master students only pay $25,000. So if you have a student coming into Southern Cross, it's a very easy way for you to communicate to them how much the tuition fees are going to be. For next year, they're going to be $25,000. If you already have a student who's in the university, they will automatically switch onto a $25,000 fee for next year. So we call that Access 25. What it means is every student can understand exactly how much it costs to come and study at Southern Cross University. And if you look at the tuition fees that we're offering, we think that we're the best value public university in Australia. with those fees of $25,000. So if you look at the metro campuses, this list of courses and fees for next year looks a little bit different. You'll notice in the right-hand column, every one of the tuition fees, Melbourne, Sydney, and Perth, is $25,000. This means that there is no such thing as scholarships anymore. We've just put in what we think is the best value tuition fee of every university in there. This applies to the business courses, the IT courses, the engineering courses, and also the education courses. And I just wanted to do a special mention for our education courses because these are now some of the most popular courses in Australia for international students. So in the middle of this year, at Ventures, we started running the graduate diploma in education. Now, that's a one-year course. It's really targeted at students who are already in Australia, who've graduated from a qualification. Being a one-year course, they can become a qualified early childhood teacher just by studying those 8 units. Now, it includes a 60-day placement in industry, which is fully organised by the university. And to get into that course, a student needs to study it on a non-student visa. So most of the students studying that course are on a graduate visa, a 485 visa, which has no limits on study or work on that visa. Most of those visas go for a minimum of 2 years. That course there is probably the single most popular course for students in Australia that are looking at getting into a skills shortage area. So that is the graduate diploma of education. We have an intake for that 4 times a year. The next one is coming up in February next year. We already have several hundred students signed up to start that course, and it's a very, very good option. There's been some good news in the last 2 weeks that the pathway to apply for PR after that has been made a little bit easier. Students now just need 1 year study in Australia to meet the English requirements for the schools assessment. And John Crowder can give us a little bit more information on that as well. The Master of Teaching is a 2-year course. The first year is exactly the same content as the Graduate Diploma of Education. The Master's second year is then just a purely academic year. Now, that course is very good for students coming from offshore who need to meet the 2-year study requirement so they can stay in Australia after they study. Now, with the Masters, it can either be taken directly as a 2-year Masters, or students can apply for the package, which is a 1-year graduate diploma and 1-year Masters. Now, very important, with the Graduate Diploma of Education, students studying in Sydney and Melbourne and Perth, if they're not on a student visa, which all of them will be now, they don't have to come into a class to attend their classes. They can attend remotely, which means it's easier for them to work and study at the same time when they're studying that graduate diploma. Both of those courses have hundreds of applications coming in for them. We haven't announced any cap at this stage, but if you have interested students, I'd highly recommend applying as soon as possible for both the graduate diploma and the Masters of Teaching. Okay, I mentioned before that the hotel school has recently become part of SCU Ventures, and we're lucky today to have Mr. Tim Rudling with us. Tim's been with hotel school for several years. He's also an expert on hotel schools around the world. So I'm going to hand over to Tim at this point. Tim's going to give us a bit of an overview of the hotel school and their courses. So over to you, Tim.
Thank you very much, Adam, and a very good morning or good afternoon to everybody who's joined us on this call today. It's my pleasure to be here to talk to you a little bit, brief overview of the hotel school. We're very excited to be part of the Ventures family now, and looking forward to meeting more of the partners who perhaps haven't worked with the hotel school in the past. So Pretty simple to understand the courses that we have. Essentially, there's one main undergrad program and one main postgrad program. So at an undergraduate level, we have a Bachelor of Business in Hotel Management. And at a postgrad level, we have a Masters of Business in Global Hotel Leadership. There are opportunities to take those nested programs as pathways in for students from certain markets. Both of those courses are really exciting because they have an 8-month paid internship as part of the course. So students have an opportunity to go out into industry, to gain some international work experience, to put into practice what they've learned in the classroom. But most importantly, for them, they have an opportunity to earn some good money. So the internships in food and beverage or in housekeeping, which are two of the more common areas our students would do internships in, have a minimum salary rate of $27.02 per hour. The minimum requirement for the internships is 600 hours. The way that our academic calendar is structured, students actually have the availability to work a lot more than 600 hours. But if they were to do the 600 hours minimum at the minimum salary rate, they're looking at earning over $16,000 during the internship. More importantly than that, this gives them an opportunity to impress an employer with up to 8 months. And then we often find that students leave this to the end of their course, and then they are able to apply for a 485 visa and continue working with the same employer. In terms of where the internship opportunities are, there are internship opportunities with many companies all over Australia. We're talking about all the big hotels, but beyond that, it's tourism, it's hospitality, events companies. The courses that we deliver at the hotel school are actually a little bit different from traditional hotel management courses in that they are business degrees, but business degrees focused towards the hospitality and hotel industry. So they have a broad appeal and a really wide range of career opportunities for students after graduation. I just wanted to focus quickly on our Professional Learning Centre because this is a team of staff whose job it is to make sure our students are industry ready. The main priority or the main goal at the hotel school is to ensure that our students launch successful careers. So in order to do that, we have a lot of things outside of the amazing SCU curriculum that we do to put our students ahead of the competition. Things like mock interview sessions with real HR managers from the industry. We teach them how to optimize their LinkedIn profile. We organize networking lunches, guest speaker series. We get them to do responsible service of alcohol certification so they can work in licensed venues. We take them on industry field trips. And this PLC team is the same team that will actually help the students to get the internship. They'll provide assistance with students looking to get part-time work in the industry, and they're there to offer assistance with graduate placements at the end of the course. All of this has led to what I guess we're really proud of at the hotel school is the employment outcomes. I think more and more when we talk about international education, students and parents are looking at a return on investment. The education is an investment, and the return on investment for our students at the hotel school is in that graduate employment. So after they finish their course, 100% were in employment within 6 months of graduation, meaning that parents, families can be assured that the investment that they make in sending their students or their sons or daughters to the hotel school will be repaid in the form of a really successful career afterwards. So that's a really quick overview of THS. The RMs will have more information for you soon. I look forward to getting out and meeting you and yeah, helping more of your students come across to the hotel school in 2025 and beyond. Thanks, Adam.
All right, good one. Thank you, Tim. And just to note with the hotel school, so they've recently become part of Southern Cross University Ventures. All of the previous agents of the hotel school will now have access to recruit into all of the Southern Cross campuses, and all of the old Southern Cross agents will now have the ability to recruit into the hotel school courses as well. So for most agents, it means that you can now recruit into an expanded number of campuses with more courses. All of those updated contracts have been sent out in the last week. Most of them have been returned, but you'll notice that if you haven't returned them, your agency will be getting calls asking for the contract to come back. But it's very good news for both the old hotel school agents and the previous Southern Cross agents that they can now access all of those courses. So thank you very much, Tim. Just before I hand to John, a reminder, everyone, if there are any questions that you've got today, please type them in the chat and we will address them at the end there. But right now, I'll hand over to John Crowder to run through the genuine student statement. Thanks, John.
Thank you, Adam, and hello to everyone. Good to see everyone here again. I will try to keep the presentation as short as I possibly can. There's a couple of things that we want to go through. Firstly, the genuine student statement. Once I've done that, I'm going to quickly go through StudyLink if we've got any time left, just to give you some tips on how to navigate the application process to make sure that you find the campus that you were actually looking for. So with regard to the genuine student statement, you'll be aware that at Southern Cross University Ventures, we use the same template as is used at main campus. The only difference is that whereas main campus template still requires you to have to individually list out the documents that you have provided, we have included a checklist on our template. That checklist will go through very clearly with you and tell you what sort of documents we are looking for. One of the biggest mistakes that agents make when uploading a genuine student statement is providing us with a lot of documents that we do not want or do not need. If the document is not on the checklist, please do not provide it. What this does is adds to the size of the genuine student statement, and then we start getting agents complaining that the system won't allow them to upload it because it is too big. In most cases, when I look at these types of applications, I see that you have attached a whole range of documents that we have already received. For example, academic documents. These should not be attached as part of the genuine student statement. We already have the academic documents that you provided as part of the application. So attaching them again to the genuine student statement is just doubling up on the documentation that we already have. It's wasting your time. It's wasting our time having to go through those documents and trying to work out what is necessary and what's not. So I'm going to share my screen with you and go through the template with you first. And hopefully we'll be able to answer your questions then. So I'm just going to put in India as an example. We have the link to the genuine student statement here, and that will take you right through. Now, we request that you always access the genuine student statement from our website. Please do not download them and stockpile them, because the template will, from time to time, change. That is according to immigration requirements. As they change their requirements, we will update the template. So downloading it from the website, make sure that it is always the most recent version. If you send us an outdated version, we'll have to go back to you and say, unfortunately, we're unable to accept that one. You need to do it again on the new template. So it's always best to download it from here. The genuine student statement basically comes in 4 parts. The first part is a simple checklist. Asking questions like, have you previously studied in Australia? Yes, no. If you answered yes to the above question, did you complete your previous course? Yes or no? If not, explain why not. So very simple, going through. Most of them are just ticking yes or no. Sometimes, depending on what you ticked, it will require a little bit more of an explanation, but very quick to complete. The second part. This is a really important part of the genuine student statement. And I have to say, most people overlook this section, and yet it is probably the most important part. This table is us telling you what the absolute minimum requirements of the genuine student statement are. I can't tell you how many times we go through a statement and find that many of these items have not been addressed in the written responses. That tells us that you've not read this table, because we have made it very clear what we are looking for and what immigration is looking for in the written responses. So this table relates directly to these written responses here. Now, for those of you who have been using the template for some time, you will understand that the written responses here are the same questions that the student is required to answer in their student visa application. So the information that you provide to us here should be exactly the same information that you are providing to immigration in the student visa application. In fact, immigration has made it very clear to us that if an agent provides different information to them compared to what they have provided to us, they will look upon that application unfavorably, and there's a high chance of visa refusal. This is why we also ask that you share your application with us, your visa application with us in IMI account, and we go through and check to make sure that the responses and the documents that you have provided us are the same that you've provided to immigration. And this is at immigration's request. So you cannot answer the questions here without looking at this table here. So if we look at the first question, give details of your current circumstances, including ties to family, community, employment, and economic circumstances. You must clearly demonstrate reasonable reasons for not studying this course in your home country if a similar course is available there. This part here is very often missed from the statement. For those of you who keep track of visa refusals, you will be aware that one of the most common reasons for visa refusal at the moment is where the visa officer says that the student has failed to demonstrate why they are unable or unwilling to study this course in their home country if that course is available there. So up in this section, question 1, we're talking about your circumstances, and we outline clearly 3 things that you must comment on. You must comment on and provide evidence of your family, social, cultural, religious, and economic ties to your home country. That must be dealt with in that first response. You must clearly demonstrate reasonable reasons for not studying this course in your home country or region if a similar course is available to you there. And you must support your stated ties with documentary evidence, and the evidence must clearly demonstrate significant incentives for you to return home upon completion of your degree. So if those 3 key points have not been answered in the first box, you have not responded to the question completely, and that will more likely result in admissions going back to you saying, sorry, we need you to revise the statement. So please always read this table in conjunction with these questions. One of the most common things we see missed is this one. Clearly demonstrate why you are not studying this course in your home country. It is so often missed. And as I said, that just tells me that people are not reading this part of the template. Question 2, explain why you wish to study this course in Australia with Southern Cross University, including your clear understanding of the requirements of the intended course and studying and living in Australia. So this question and this question is not the same. This one is asking why you do not want to study this course in your home country. This question is asking why you want to study it in Australia at Southern Cross University. Again, you must show that you have a good understanding of Australia and Southern Cross University and the course you will study. You must demonstrate your knowledge of living in Australia, including why you have chosen your campus and your proposed living arrangements and associated costs. Talk about your specific course structure and any specific units that are of particular interest that will benefit your future. So again, these 3 points must be covered in question 2. If you have any space left over, you can add any additional information you like, but this must be covered. Again, we have met with immigration numerous times. Immigration has told us they are very happy with the process that we are going through. We have seen that when agents are following this process, we have a very high visa grant rate. Where the process is not followed, we will either reject the application, or if it does get through, there's a higher chance of visa refusal. Question 3, very important question. Explain how completing this course will be of benefit to you. So again, we're giving you tips. How is your proposed course relevant to your future employment? Show that your proposed course is in demand in your home country. Discuss the remuneration you can expect to receive in your home country when you complete this qualification, including a comparison of your potential salary in your home country compared to Australia. Address your return on investment and explain how studying this course in Australia is a good economic investment in your future. And demonstrate a strong career plan and how this course will achieve career goals. Now, I know what you're thinking. Here you have a small box with a maximum 1,000 characters. That is the same limit that immigration gives you in the visa application form. Immigration has told us the importance is on the documentation that you provide. You can easily answer these questions in 1,000 characters if you are specific and address the points outlined clearly. This is why we are giving you guidance about what to talk about to focus your attention on the key points. So often we see responses that are wasting time by talking about unnecessary things. So focus on these points, respond to those, and for each claim that you make, you must attach evidence to support that claim. So let's say in question Question 1. Clearly demonstrate reasons for not studying this course in your home country. All right, let's say the course is not available in the student's home country. All right, that is a valid reason for not studying it there. But you have made that claim. It is not available in the student's home country, so provide us evidence to support that claim. And for every claim you make in each response, you must support that with valid, relevant evidence. There is nothing in here, anywhere, that would ask you to attach academic documents. Academic documents are not relevant to any of these questions. We have already assessed the students' eligibility to meet the academic requirements and the English requirements. We do not need those documents again. If you state the course is not available in Nepal, the first piece of evidence I want to see is evidence showing that this course is not available in Nepal. If you state that you want to study at SCU because SCU is well known for graduate outcomes and international student support, there are two claims. I want to see evidence of your research to show that SCU is well known for graduate outcomes and international student support. That is how it works. So you follow the guidelines in the table and make sure that each response deals with each of the points that we are outlining here and provide relevant documentation attached with the genuine student statement, and there should be no problems. Now I'll go on to, question 4. This is so often left blank. Now, you can leave it blank because it says give any other relevant details that you might like to include. In my opinion, leaving it blank is not a wise choice. This is your chance to provide further information that you could not fit in up in these sections here, and to provide further evidence to back up your claims. The only one that is not required is question 5. If you have previously studied in Australia, provide a detailed study history. If the student has not previously studied in Australia, then all they need to write is not applicable here. They don't need to fill in this section. Now we come to the checklist. So what you'll see here is the checklist comes in basically 2 parts. Evidence to support your genuine student statement claims. So that is these 5 responses here. So what we want to see, your responses to question 1, details of your current circumstances, that is here. Evidence of your current circumstances. So you are uploading evidence related to question 1. You would tick this box to show us, yes, I am attaching evidence of my current circumstances. And we ask you to label the document according to the checklist. So regardless of how many documents you are uploading as evidence of your current circumstances, you would just simply label those documents evidence of current circumstances. That is all we need. That is to make sure that when the admissions team is looking at those documents, they can clearly see that those documents relate to this section on the genuine student statement. It makes it a lot quicker for the admissions team to assess the genuine student statement if the documents are logically uploaded and labeled. I can't tell you how many times we receive statements with 300 pages of irrelevant documents where someone has uploaded 250 pages of bank statements for the last 10 years. That is not what we're looking for. That just wastes time. So doing it this way helps the team see, right, yes, I can see these documents are evidence of current circumstances. These documents are evidence of why the student chose Australia and Southern Cross University. So you just label it according to this: evidence of current circumstances, evidence of why you chose Australia and Southern Cross, evidence of the benefit of this course to your future, evidence of other claims, evidence of previous study in Australia. So for that first section, that's all we need you to do to label those documents. So if you have 5 documents in this section, label each one evidence of current circumstances. If you have 10 documents in this section, label each one evidence of why you chose Australia and Southern Cross University. It's very simple. People are overthinking it and trying to overcomplicate it. It's not complicated at all. Where you see the bold print, so these first 3 are in bold. These are compulsory, and we should see these ticked. Same down here. If you see it in bold, it is compulsory, and we should see them ticked. If it is not in bold, it means it is not a compulsory document because it may not relate to the student. So you only would tick those items that relate to what the student is providing, and again, label it accordingly. So funding sources, personal pay slips, tax documents, business registration papers. Just label it according to this. So the second section of the checklist is all about finances. The financial section is broken down into sponsors, finances, and funds. Sponsors, we need evidence for each of these. So we allow 2 sponsors, 3 if the parents are both sponsoring separately. So what we need here is evidence of the sponsors. So what we want to see is a copy of the sponsor's passport or ID card. That's all we need. Just evidence of the sponsor's identity. Evidence that the financial sponsors meet the minimum income requirement. So we want to see for each sponsor documents that show that they meet the minimum income requirement. We require an affidavit of financial support. So that should be uploaded and labeled as affidavit of financial support. And then we need evidence of relationship of the student to the sponsors. So we need to see how they are related. So all 4 of these should be ticked and labeled according to this. When we get to finances, obviously funding sources, these will come from either bank statements, education loans, fixed term deposits, etc. So you would tick that and label it according to this. Is it a bank statement? Is it an education loan? Whatever it might be. The sponsors' pay slips, ITR assessments. So you would upload those and label it according to the list. If the sponsor's income is coming from business, we would need to see business registration papers, for example. If it is not from business, you obviously wouldn't tick that. If the student is from India, we require a copy of the sponsor's PAN card. If they're not from India, we don't need that. So that is how it works. You upload the document, attach it in this order. So attach it to the genuine student statement in the order that it is listed on the checklist. So this first, then this, and then whatever documents follow. So that, again, the assessor can clearly see and expedite the processing of your statement. This is all about making things as easy for you and the student as we possibly can. By uploading everything in a clear and logical way, the admissions team can process it quickly and not have to keep going backwards and forwards asking for more documents. Everything we need is here. So then you get to the financial matrix, which is part 4. The financial matrix just requires you to give an indication of the funding sources. So this doesn't require any evidence. You would just enter the annual tuition fee. If the student is coming with a partner, they would need to indicate 10,394 here. That is the amount for a partner. Because it's Access 25, their fees will be 25,000. And then at the bottom, they would add up this amount and put the total in here. Does the student have siblings studying in Australia or overseas? Yes or no? How many siblings do they have living at home? 1, 2, 3, whatever it might be. And the total monthly expense of their sponsors combined. Then they just name the sponsor, relationship to the student, select the fund type, give the bank details and the amount of funds available for each sponsor, and then select the funding source. So ongoing salary, how much of the finances are coming from ongoing salary, how much from business income, how much from rental income, etc. And that is all. That is what is required of the genuine student statement. So it does take a little bit of time to put together, but the time it takes to put together will come back to you and save you time, because the admissions team will not have to keep going backwards and forwards asking, please rewrite the statement, it doesn't meet the requirements, please provide this document, you haven't provided the document. So that is why we ask for it in this format. I might stop there quickly. Adam, do you want me to go on to questions now or go on to StudyLink first?
Yeah, John, so I think you are going to give us a quick look at StudyLink and give some guidance on how to apply in there. But just while we're doing that, John, while you're getting set up, there's a couple of questions you might be able to answer there. There was a question about can an uncle be a sponsor from Harpreet? Could you just remind everyone of the online admissions guide and how to access that? I can put a link to it in the chat right now and share that with everyone.
So I will show you that. I'm sure many of you have seen it before. And this is where you would find your genuine student statement. So again, you come to this, Adam's put the link in the chat box. You select your country or you type it in, hit enter, and you'll see a drop-down list here. Now, the question was, sorry, what was it, Adam?
Oh, the question was, it was specifically about can an uncle be a sponsor? So which section of the online guide would that appear in?
That would come under financials required. If you click on the financials, you will see a section down here on sponsors. So a financial sponsor is usually one of these. We do go on to say that we don't accept financial sponsorship from aunts or uncles unless the following applies. So you can read that in here. Generally speaking, no, but there are cases where we do allow it.
Yeah. Okay. Thanks, John. So that site there, I've just pasted it in the chat box for everyone. You can put in your market and look up the information there. John, there's another general question from Mehak. Is there a difference between financials and funds? Does that mean the same thing?
No, it doesn't mean the same thing. So financials are talking about your, I guess the source of where your funds are coming from. So the funds are talking about the specific amounts of money. The finances are talking about where those funds are coming from. So if you're got funds of 60,000 Australian dollars, the funding source will be a bank statement, an education loan, a fixed term deposit, something like that. So one is where the funds are coming from, and the funds is talking specifically about the amount of money that you have.
Okay, thanks. Just while you're setting that up as well, there was a question earlier on people may not have seen on the chat. That was talking about students on a student visa with work rights that were going to take their work placement as part of their graduate diploma or their Master of Teaching. Does doing that placement affect their ability to do their part-time work and keep their job?
No, it doesn't, because the internship is a compulsory part of the course. Because it is a compulsory part of the course, it does not count towards their the number of hours that they can work. So they can still work part-time, and that is up to them to manage their hours. What is important to note is that the placements are compulsory. The student may not get a choice of what days they go on placement. So they may need to, during that placement period, they may need to work with their employer to try to adjust their schedule so that they can work and do placement at the same time. Placements are generally not 5 days a week. So a student can generally work and do their placement together.
Okay. Good one. Thanks, John. That makes sense. I'll let you share the study link screen now if you were gonna go ahead with that one.
All right. So I'll just go through this quickly with everyone. Just give me a moment to get that open. So what we're finding is, and Adam touched on this before, it is generally happening when an onshore student says that they want to study online, but the wrong campus is being chosen. So I'm just coming into a test application. So when you come into the application in StudyLink, you'll see this is the application form. You go through and fill in the personal details, etc., etc. You come down until you get to the section about choosing your intake and the type of intake you're selecting. Now, what you will usually see, if you are applying for a non-student visa place, if the student is onshore and they're not on a student visa, they're on a 485 visa or a 408 visa, and you are applying for a non-student visa place, you will see that we have one CRICOS code for non-student visa places. This means that SCUV and main campus all share the same code. What you will see when you come into the selection is Gold Coast will always show first, and then you will have online. Now, this online, if you select this availability online, this means that it is main campus. It is not attached to one of the metro campuses, Sydney, Melbourne, or Perth. The student would be studying online with main campus and not through us. As Adam mentioned before, if the student is studying, let's say in Sydney, they're not on a student visa and they want to study online, they can study online with us at the Sydney campus. So it would not be correct to select one of these options. Now, when you look at the first page, what happens often if people aren't familiar with the site, they see, I can't see Sydney. The student wants online, I'll just select online. They choose online, submit the application, and then come back to us saying, I'm sorry, I didn't want that. I wanted to study at Sydney campus online, and we have to go and change the campus. So what you would do then is come down to the bottom. You can see there's an arrow here. It tells you that this is record number 1 to 10 of 20. So there are more records. You would come across to the next page, and there you can see SCU Sydney. Now, by selecting SCU Sydney in either term 1, term 3, term 4, or term 5 next year, this will automatically give the student the right to study online at the Sydney campus because they have chosen the non-student visa option. So it is very important to select the right option. When you are selecting your courses up front, it will ask you, do you want a student visa place or a non-student visa place? Now, obviously, if you are applying from offshore, it will always be a student visa place. If you are applying from onshore, if the student is studying on a student visa, you will choose student visa place. If they are studying onshore on a 485 visa, you would choose non-student visa, which will then allow you to select Sydney, Melbourne, or Perth campus. And these options allow the student to study online. It is their choice. If they're on a non-student visa, choosing Sydney, Melbourne, or Perth will allow them to study both online and on campus if they want to. So they get the choice. If they want to study in Sydney completely online, they can choose SCU Sydney and study online. If they want to study partly online but come on to campus sometimes, they would still choose SCU Sydney, and that gives them the option as long as they've chosen that non-student visa option up front. So yeah, hopefully that explains it.
Thanks, John. So the difference there is if they do enroll in the pure online course, they're an online only student. They're not linked to a particular campus. Everything will be online. If they choose Sydney, Melbourne, or Perth, and they're not on a student visa, they can study it all online, or they can come into campus and use the facilities, attend orientation, and do anything that they would like to, but it's not compulsory because they don't have the study condition on their visa.
That is correct. And obviously then the student is able to avail themselves of the support services on campus if they need that. They have that access to the campus if they want it. Now, as you can see at the top of this application here, this tells you this code when you select 2J, this course is only available to temporary non-student visa holders. So that means that when I've come into this application, I have selected a non-student visa place. If you want a student visa place, when you come in up the front and you first get your options, you would need to select a student visa place. So hopefully that explains to everyone a little bit more about that.
Yeah, thanks, John. Now we're getting very close to the end of our time, but there's a couple of pretty important questions that have been put in there. So Neha has asked, are the genuine student requirements now the same for the hotel school as the Southern Cross Ventures campuses?
The short answer to that is yes. So we will be gradually bringing everything in line. There will be some exceptions to that, but again, if you use that online tool, the link Adam has put in the chat there for you, it will tell you if there are any exceptions. So if your country has an exception for the hotel school, it will list those exceptions. If it doesn't list exceptions, it means it's the same as SCU.
Okay, thanks, John. And John, could you maybe, while we're talking about the genuine student requirements for the hotel school, what kind of turnaround time could the agents expect going forward with the hotel school?
Yes, so that's the other thing that we're bringing in line. So the admissions processes will be exactly the same as they are for the universities, or for SCUV. So that will mean 24-hour turnaround times on applications. So as long as you lodge a complete application, we will have an offer out to you within 24 hours. And the genuine student assessment will be completed within 5 business days, the same as the university.
Okay, thanks, John. I think we have time for one more question. There's one there from Anu saying, please confirm which GSS form should be used, the one from the website you just showed us, or the GSS form that we receive with the offer letter. Should they be the same or different?
It should be exactly the same. The GSS form that would be on the offer would just be a link to that one there. So it's the same thing. If in doubt, always go by the one on the website. That is always the latest one. Just one thing I wanted to add here. I can see a question, and I've been asked this a few times. Could we please give examples of responses and example documents? The short answer to that, unfortunately, is no. And the reason for that is, as soon as we give example answers, that's what we get back. People copy and paste those example answers and send them back to us. That is not what we want. The response on the GSS needs to be personalized to the student, not a copy and paste of other information. My advice to you, the best statements that we see are written by the students themselves, not by somebody else. We have seen cases, just to give a short example, we had 2 cases from China recently. 2 students applying for the same course. One student got a visa grant, the other student got a visa refusal. In both cases, their situations were almost exactly the same. They were applying for a course that they had no previous experience in. One of the students was previously a lawyer. The other student was previously an accountant. The lawyer wrote an excellent statement explaining why she wanted to change her career. It was all written in her own words. It was all about her and her background and her career goals. The other student, it was obvious that it had been written by the agent and it was very generic responses. That student's visa was refused. The lawyer's was granted. So it is not in anyone's interest to copy and paste and send template responses. It should always be personalized. If you're not sure, get the student to write it first, and you can tidy it up for them if their English is really poor. But it's always best to get them to try to give their story. That's what will get the visas.
All right, a good one. And there's just one question that's popped up, John, that's probably worth answering. There's Jessie Luo from not sure where. Jessie's just asking, a student wants to apply for a grad dip plus master's package, early childhood. They need a student visa. Should they still submit that through StudyLink?
Yes, absolutely. All applications must come through StudyLink. Yeah.
Okay, good one. All right. Now, everyone, I think we need to wrap up there. Unfortunately, we've gone a bit over time. So I'd like to thank John Crowder, especially for the presentation there today. A couple of reminders. Access 25 is now live. All tuition fees across the metro campuses, Sydney, Melbourne, Perth, are now $25,000 for next year. Applications are still open offshore for T1, and we have a lot of time onshore for T1, but I'd recommend getting your applications in as soon as possible. All agencies for the university can now access the hotel school. Contracts have been sent in the last week. If you have any questions, please contact your regional manager. So I'd like to thank Tim Rudling for joining us from Indonesia. Thanks very much, Tim. Thank you, John Crowder. We will be sending out a copy of the presentation and a recording tomorrow. So thanks everyone for attending, and hope that was useful. Stay safe, everyone. See you soon.
Thank you.